Hey there, welcome to the garden. So my garlic order just came in and I'm super excited about this. I got two different kinds of garlic. I need to figure out where in the different garden spaces I want to plant this. But garlic is one of those fun crops that you plant in the fall. So it's time to get this planted. I have some elephant garlic. So this is actually going to be that really large, you can see look how big the cloves are, really large elephant garlic, which is going to be super fun. And then I also just got, I believe, I got a music hardneck. I like the hardneck garlic just because for myself, I just like to have those bigger cloves of garlic. Hardneck is going to have that stiff center stalk that is gonna result with slightly bigger cloves than the soft neck garlic. And just, I don't know, for me, I figured music is, I think, a pretty classic variety. And I honestly haven't had super great luck growing garlic in the past. I haven't really had great spaces to grow things like garlic. I've had really small gardens. And so I think it's gonna be fun to kind of see how these do in these garden beds here. So the elephant garlic is pretty big. I'm wondering if I should plant that. I have mostly the containers, a couple raised beds, mostly containers out here. But I do also have the kitchen garden up front, which has more in-ground space. So I might go ahead and plant some of this up in the kitchen garden. But I think I'm going to pop a few into these different containers. And what is kind of fun about something like garlic is you can put a couple in different spots. You of course can grow it all together, but I think I'm gonna let it be kind of in its own area. Okay, so to prepare the garlic for planting, we're just gonna take it and peel apart. Look at how big this clove is. I've wanted to grow elephant garlic for years. So cool. I think one part of it came off. So these are going to form, you peel off the cloves, and then next year they're going to actually form the whole new heads of garlic. Whew. I mean, how cool is that? So I think I'm going to put some elephant garlic up in my kitchen garden. As I said, that's all in-ground planting, so really ideal conditions for something like elephant garlic. But I'm going to stick just a couple in this back bed over here because I kind of want to try growing it out in the trough containers because they're just a good, I don't know, they're a fun, good, big container. They're technically a container. They do have a bottom, but they are 2x4, so there's lots of space. And then I think I'll do some of the little garlic with it, just kind of in the back. Garlic's not going to be a huge wide plant once it gets, there are a bunch of ants crawling around. Once it gets growing, it's not going to be super wide. So it's kind of nice to stick in the side of containers because you're not going to have it, it's not going to take up a lot of space. And back here, this garden space is kind of going to be my veggie patch. Obviously I am growing things up in my kitchen garden as well, but this is going to be kind of the veggie spot back here. So I'll probably be doing eggplants and peppers and different things like that. So I don't want to take up a ton of room with, say, the garlic, but I just want to grow a little bit and just kind of test out a few different locations. So here we go. We've got a few. Let's get them planted. This elephant garlic is too cool. And that's one of those things that you can't get in the grocery store, which I always like. I always like to do some stuff that is just kind of unique and different that you can't just easily, readily get at the grocery store. Planting the garlic is making me think that I should think about some fall bulbs. Now is about the time. I think because this is a first year garden and I've been so busy with all the other parts of building these gardens and getting them going. And now it's like the end of the season and you just kind of start to get tired, that I haven't been thinking as much about like the fall planted bulbs that will bloom in the spring. And I know I'm going to be really happy if I plant some bulbs. So I might have to go see if I can find some. We're here middle of September, so I think I still have some time before I like absolutely have to plant my bulbs, but you know, pretty soon here. At least some daffodils maybe. It'll be nice in the spring. That's like the thing when you get to the end of the garden season. At least for me this year, I've been feeling very tired. And so like, oh my gosh, the thought of doing a bunch of like bulbs is a little bit, I haven't really had a ton of motivation. But if I just stick in a few tulips, or daffodils are easy because, you know, the squirrels and everything don't want them. I'll try to open this. Get all these. I'm going to take them up to the front garden. The daffodils, like the squirrels, the deer and everything won't bug. Tulips, I know people have more issues with squirrels digging them up. So I do need to think about that because we have a lot of squirrels in this area and they don't really bother the garden in the summer, but once you get into the fall, then you know, they're storing the acorns, etc., for winter, and it starts to become more of an issue. Like I start to deal with more squirrel pressure. Okay, so I think we're going to take these up to the kitchen garden and see if we can't find a spot for them. Put it all back in the box. Let's go plant some of that. Be good to just have that in ground. It'll probably do better in ground. These containers did really well for like the tomatoes and stuff. They did really well in the troughs, but in general, things usually do better in ground, even though I love container growing. Okay, so I'm going to close up this garden, and I think garlic's probably a good thing for a kitchen garden. I'm trying to like make this the big formal veggie patch, but then yeah, we'll have the kitchen garden. And we'll have kind of like, you know, you want to pull out a head of garlic for dinner or whatever. You can do that from the kitchen garden. So I think that makes sense. I think that sounds good. Okay, let's go plant them. The kitchen garden is looking a little bit dry and lackluster. It's just been so hot and so dry. But I think I might put some garlic right in here. It might be a good sort of edge of the garden bed kind of thing, because it's not going to get super tall compared to some of the other stuff. This is the Moon and Stars watermelon that I'm pretty sure I let go too long and the critters and stuff got into it, but that's okay. We've got a good space right here for some garlic. So I'm gonna plant that in right here. I'm just gonna take out the weeds. Sort of, I need to come in and do a big weeding, like actual day of weeding. All right, so the elephant garlic we're gonna put in the middle because that's slightly bigger. Maybe a little bit over here. And then all the other garlic, I'm just gonna make a couple of rows. And we're just gonna plant it in. I got this from, I'm not affiliated with them, I got this from Urban Farmer. And let's see if they give me the space. They have a little bit of a growing chart, which is nice. I don't think they have the garlic in here, so I'm gonna space it about 3 inches apart. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. As I said, I've had really failed attempts at garlic growing, so I'm really hoping that this is going to be the garlic that does well. Here we go. So also, excuse me, my voice. I've been dealing with all of the colds, back to school, illnesses, etc. This in here. All right. Now I'm just going to cover this all over. And then I do need to come out and water the garden today. So I'll probably go ahead and turn the hose on now and just get everything all watered in really well. That's going to be the biggest battle because it's been so dry. While I was out here planting garlic, it made me realize that I do want to pick some of my flowers. I have not been staying on top of my zinnias, and I really need to pick some of these, because as you can see, like, there's just no point when you don't pick them. They just also don't bloom as much. These are really pretty. I should pick some of these really pretty Lilliput zinnias. I feel a little bad because it's almost like there's so many butterflies on them. But I'm gonna deadhead a little because that will push them to do obviously more blooms, which is good. And then with zinnias, you do the wiggle test. You want them to be firm, this part of the stem to be stiff. If it's wiggling, you probably know that, but it won't last long in the vase. It's like this one, that one's a little wiggly still. This one's okay. Get a few little flowers. This is super fun. These are a pumpkin on a stick. As you can see, it's actually an eggplant, but they ripen to like these cute little pumpkins, and they do look like little mini pumpkins on a stick. Now, at some point, you have to kind of harvest them to dry them, and you know, there's some still green ones on top, but you're gonna lose some pumpkins. I may just go ahead. I usually just take off the leaves above because we're gonna have the stick part. I may just go ahead and clip this one here. And then I will use, I got another one. It's just kind of fun. We'll use these in some shorter displays. But those will be really fun. I love the pumpkin on a stick. They're super cute. When these ones ripen up, they're gonna look great. Here's another zinnia. I'll harvest that. Because that one looks like, yep, it's ready to go. Perfect. And this we can just deadhead. It's definitely, there's quite a few perennials now and everything that are in need of deadheading. We're kind of getting to that point in the season where things just need to be trimmed back. Hey there. Today I am finally planting out my fall seedlings. So it is September, mid-September right now. I started these actually early August. So they've had about 6 weeks inside, and then I went ahead and, well, probably more like 4 weeks inside. They were still pretty small, but I just went ahead and put them out on my porch. So they've been sitting out in like a shady area on my porch for about the last, maybe week or two. I've kind of let them have a lot of time out there, slowly move them into the sun, and now hopefully we're gonna get them planted out here in the garden. So of course, you know, I've been changing things around, but I feel like we've got some good spot. I've got some soil in the beds. They're mostly filled. and we're gonna get these plants planted out. Now, here's what happens this time of year in my area. You can see that the squirrels have found these lovely beds of soil, and to them that looks like the perfect place to come in and dig. So with that in mind, I do have a few little chicken wire kind of cloches. If anything is super small, I tend to find that if you have a reasonable size seedling, usually the squirrels don't do too much damage because they'll kind of like dig. They want the open soil, so they'll dig around where I have the seedling. Like they'll dig around the seedling a little bit, and they'll kind of leave the seedling okay. Sometimes they'll end up digging the seedling up though. So if you have anything to cover your beds, or you're planting any kind of seeds, like I did bring out a couple packs of seeds, just kind of thinking, like I'm not quite sure what I want to do with them. But those I may try to put under, I'm trying to think, where did I put I have some of these little wire cloches that are really handy, and I don't know where I put them, but I might try to grab some of those because I'm starting to see that 'tis the season for squirrels. And obviously I have quite a lovely squirrel environment behind me, so they are out in force. But yeah, I'm gonna start for right now. I've been slowly working to fill my garden beds, but I have a couple. This bed here has got a good amount of soil, the other one over there. So we're just gonna start planting up with seedlings, and let's see how the seedlings are looking. Okay, so here we go. We've got a few different things. We've got some Swiss chard. This is Fort Hook Giant. So this actually will grow through till next summer. But then we've also just got some slow bolt arugula. We've got some mustard greens of different sorts. Actually some cauliflower, which that I would love to actually get cauliflower. Like that would be super cool. And what else do we have here? It's just some Bibb lettuce, some collard greens. So I'm gonna try to take a sip of coffee here. I'm gonna try to figure out where I wanna put them in here. I think that bed is gonna be my cauliflower bed because it's a bit shadier back there. So just thinking long-term, because that probably is gonna grow over the winter and into the spring. So I wanna make sure I set the collard greens up for success. So let's plant those in there, maybe with some of the lettuces and stuff, and then we'll kind of like work our way to the next bed. All right, so cauliflower here, some slow bolt arugula. Some lettuce. Mizuna. All right, so I'm thinking strategically about the Swiss chard. I'm gonna pop that in the front corners of some of these big beds because, as I said, this one is gonna grow all the way through to next summer. Swiss chard does great kind of like throughout the season in my zone. So I wanna put this in a place where it's gonna be beautiful. And I think Swiss chard is one of the most gorgeous things to have like at the edge of a garden bed. It's just, that big decorative kind of plant and it's just gonna look perfect. So I'm just gonna stick it over here in the corner of the bed. I will come back in and water everything, and I'm gonna stick another one in the other corner because I like that kind of like symmetry. I think that'll look really good. So I've got another corner right here, if I can set the camera down. This is perfect. We'll put this other one in here. And then I've sort of half filled some of these beds, but I have a few more spaces. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start popping in greens wherever I can, pretty haphazard. Oh, I have one, well, let's see, I have 2 more Swiss chard. Those might be pretty at the front of the garden in these beds. They also do really, really well in containers. I don't think I'm gonna put these in containers or put anything that I'm growing today in a small container, but it's definitely an option with Swiss chard, and I may end up doing some fall containers. I feel like I'm a little behind this year on my container gardening. That's okay, we'll just stick that in there. That's good. Keep planting them out. I just threw in a bunch of these seedlings. As I said, we're a little haphazard here. The beds aren't completely full. Hey there. So it's afternoon now, and I'm just coming out because I did not water in those seedlings, which was not very smart of me. They were pretty well watered when I planted them, but I definitely need to water them today. So it's evening, and I thought I would just run out here. Woo. Gotta get through the deer fence and water them. They look okay. Okay, a couple of them are a little wilty, but I think we'll manage. Super fun. Woo. Growing these kind of fall greens in my zone is usually a pretty fun experience because of our winters. We don't get super cold. We might get a few weeks in January or February where the temperatures do get pretty low. We might get a little bit of snow. Last year was actually very weird. Like, that was an abnormal amount of snow. Usually we'll get snow, but it'll melt, within a day or so. So usually, like, a lot of these hardier greens will last. So I do anticipate that most of these greens will kind of last. And this garden back here gets pretty good afternoon sun, about 6 to 7 hours of afternoon sun. I'm hoping that the plants will do okay back here. But as you saw in my last video, I am going to do a little bit of like an herb garden. This is the morning coffee garden, and that other garden is going to be my afternoon coffee garden. And that one's probably going to be even better for greens because it's going to have morning sun and then shade in the afternoon. So if you are in like a zone like mine, if you're growing in my zone, if you're in Virginia, I would definitely say like try to grow your fall greens and stuff in a morning sun, afternoon shade area if you've got one, because that will really help. And even in the winter, it doesn't matter as much, right? Because the plants aren't really growing too much in the thick of the winter. Plus, you're not going to have the same kind of leaf cover, so it works out. Oh my gosh, the hose is so loud, but I really want to make sure I get everything well watered. We have been so dry. I'm kind of curious if you all, oh my gosh, I got a little ribbon on my shirt. Okay, forgive the ribbon on the shirt. I'm not going to bother to refilm that. Yeah, it's been so dry this fall. We got a little bit of rain last week, which was like the most exciting thing, when you're waiting for rain. It's like nothing is better than that. Like we got a little bit of a rainstorm, but not much. I'm really hoping that the weather changes just a little bit because it's just getting really hard on the perennials. At this point, it's like all I'm really focusing on. I've got some zinnias and stuff in my kitchen garden that I want them to keep going, and I've been watering them to kind of try to keep things somewhat alive. But honestly, I mostly just focus like on the perennials, and then on, for example, these plants that I really want them to grow well, and I want them to be happy. And it is tricky when it's so dry because there's just no room for error when it comes to watering. And that's hard. And I may end up losing some things. I really hope I don't. I've been trying to water like all my trees and just make sure I really get out and get everything watered, but it's a struggle. With the trees, I've been focusing on like deeper waters every couple days. Hopefully that's enough for them. This is good. So many little seedlings out here. It's so good to have things actually growing in this space. I still am going to come out with a couple bags of garden soil and probably top up all these beds. But I kind of think I've got a few empty containers. I've got a few spaces. I kind of think it might be time to do a few fall containers back here, and that might be kind of fun. It's kind of tricky this time of year because there's still some things that are doing well. For example, this Juliet tomato here, it's fallen over a little bit, but it's still producing. It looks a little worse for wear. I could probably come out with some fertilizer, but it's still producing tomatoes. Like, it has been so happy in this garden. I'm definitely going to repeat tomatoes out here because I think that this is like definitely going to be a prime space for that. And I need to do a few other things. Like, I need to rearrange my hose. Yeah, I've got a few chores in this space, but we've got the seedlings planted, and that's a big step toward the fall garden. So I'm going to take it. We'll keep you posted as we go. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.